The House will please come to order. We have Reverend Lizette Hunt from Pierre, the First Baptist Church here in Pierre. Her husband's also a Baptist preacher. She's going to lead us in prayer. And she's going to be followed by Alexandria Lieferman, who you can't see. She's hiding from you. She's sitting down. And she's from Huron, and she's going to lead us in the pledge.
Please join me in prayer. Lord of light, Lord of love, today we thank you for who you are. We thank you for this day, this beautiful day, this season that you have given us, and these responsibilities that you have laid upon us all. Lord, today we ask your hand of blessing and mercy to rest upon us. We ask that you would provide wisdom and discernment, and that all who ask would receive. Lord, today we lift up our hands and ask that you continue to rest your hand of mercy and blessing upon us. And we pray all of this in your holy name. Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Allers, Anderson, Bartels, Barthel, Bartling, Beal, Bordeaux, Bruner, Campbell, Carson, Chase, Clark, Conzit, Denner, Diedrich, DeSanto, Duval, Freimuller, Glanzer, Goodwin, Gosh, Greenfield, Haugard, Hawley, Heineman, Holmes, Howard, Hunhoff, Jameson, Jensen, Kevin, Johns, Johnson, Kaiser, Carr, Ketwig, Lake, Lateral, Lesmeister, Livermont, Lust, Marty, May, McClary, McPherson, Mills, Otten, Herman, Peterson, Kent, Peterson, Sioux, Pischke, Quam, Rasmussen, Reed, Roden, Ring, Rounds, Rosem, Schaefer, Shanefish, Smith, Soley, Steinhauer, Stevens, Tolson, Turbeville, Wheezy, Willardson, Wismer, York, Zickman, Speaker Mickelson. Mr. Speaker, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Approval of the journal.
The House, Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Legislative Procedure respectfully reports that the Chief Clerk of the House has had under consideration of House Journal of the 5th day. All errors, typographical or otherwise, are duly marked in the temporary journal for corrections, and we hereby move the adoption of the report. Respectfully submitted, G. Mark Mickelson, Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any introductions today? Maybe I'm going to start us off. Do we have the Boys and Girls State folks here in the gallery? Yes, no? Raise your hand, wave. We're going to wait on them. Oh, they'll be here later. Okay, who has an introduction today? Representative Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you know, today is Brookings SDSU Day at the Capitol, and we have several people showed up. I believe President Barry Dunn, the president of SDSU, is up here, and several members from the university. Hold your applause for a sec here. I have Mayor Keith Corbett, and I don't know if he's here on the other side, and the city council's here, the county commission, several of them are here. We have the school board and the superintendent. We got the leadership Brookings class, and then there's several other business personnel from Brookings here. Tonight at the Discovery Center, 5:30 is the social. And real quick, Representative Reed had one final he'd like to introduce.
Thank you. Also in the audience today is the Dean of the College of Engineering at SDSU, Dr. Lou Brown. And read into the journal today is a house commemoration. And Dean Brown has been the Dean of the college since 2001, and during that time, he was part of the efforts to increase enrollment from 1,300 people to nearly 2,000 students. And he also created great business relationships with the College of Engineering to help businesses in South Dakota that use the engineering students, or actually hire the engineering students. And why we're recognizing Dean Brown is that he will retire on June 30th of 2018, and he's been a big service to South Dakota and SDSU. So I guess I'd ask everybody for a round of applause for all of our Brookings visitors today.
Thank you. Someplace special. Brookings, someplace special. Is that still your slogan?
Bring your dreams, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, you changed? Oh, no, I don't like change. All right. You know what? We had a motion to approve the journal. Do we have a second? All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Further introductions.
Mr. Speaker?
Yes, Madam Peterson, Representative Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the body, I would like to introduce a special guest that's here today. It's my son, Robert Peterson. He's up in the gallery to the left.
Where is he? He's hiding. Robert, stand up. We can't. There you are. Robert, let's welcome Robert Peterson. He kind of looks like you. Kind of looks like you, doesn't he?
He does.
Who else? Representative Mills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Representative Ketwig and myself, we want to recognize from the great city of Volga, Mr. Jordan Fast and the Sioux Valley government class back up in this corner. Welcome.
Thank you. Representative Shane Fish. Granted.
It is an honor to introduce over 30 exchange students with the ASSE program. There are students from the following countries: Brazil, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, France, Germany, Italy, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Portugal, Spain, Ukraine. They're accompanied by 5 area representatives with the program, including Tara Vanderwall, Tracy Pepin, Tammy Walls, Samantha Cerny, and Pam Godlewski from my hometown of Scotland. Welcome.
Why don't they stand up so we can tell who they are? Stand on up. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Zickman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't know if anybody's introducing them or whatever, but we have a whole group of veterans and military people right behind the clock. So would you please give them a round of applause?
Here, here. Hey, Caleb.
And we also have today honored guests from Girls and Boys State, Ruhama Tiredi, and of Sioux Falls, the South Dakota 2017 Girls State Governor, and Bridger Flash Gordon of Whitewood, the South Dakota 2017 Boys State Governor. And special guest Samantha Gortmaker of Pierre, the 2017 representative to Girls Nation.
Hey, you might recognize that last name. I think her father might be the head of DCI, so be nice to her. All right. Seeing no further introductions, wait a minute. Representative Duvall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would also like to point out that Ms. Gortmaker will be a page for us later in session. So be thinking of lots of projects for her to work on.
Here, here. All right. Did Representative Bartley, were you going to do an introduction? No? Okay. I saw a former speaker here. Is he around? Where is he? Hey, come on up here. We can't see you. So, this is, where are you from? Big Stone City? Okay, his family's in the monument business, and he served his 8 years, and he left, and he and a bunch of people, they got together and drank some wine, and they decided to buy the old monastery, didn't you? We did. And I'd like you guys to give a very warm welcome to someone that used to be the presiding officer of this body not that long ago, former Speaker Val Rausch. Good to have you here. You're welcome to stay. Okay, you stay right up here if you'd like to. Yeah, well, Representative Rounds, I'm not sure you're in order yet. But go ahead.
If I may add on, the former speaker is a founding member of the famous rap group TR Crew. Thank you.
Okay.
That's a story for a different time.
Very good. All right. Now, do we have the doctor of the day here? Wave if you're here. Okay, we're going to try to remember to introduce you later since you're not here. All right, Madam Clerk, order of business number 5, reports of standing committees.
Mr. Speaker, the Committee on State Affairs respectfully reports that House Bill 1002 and 1063 do pass. House Bill 1007 was deferred to the 41st day. Larry Roden, Chair. Also, Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Judiciary respectfully reports that House Bill 1052 and 1072 do pass. House Bill 1017, 1028, and 1054 do pass and be placed on the consent calendar. Mike Stevens, Chair. Also, Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Commerce and Energy respectfully reports that House Bill 1033 do pass. House Bill 1034 and 1041 do pass and be placed on the consent calendar, and House Bill 1030 do pass as amended and be placed on the consent calendar. No. And placed on the calendar for consideration. Tim Rounds, Chair.
Thank you. No actions needed there on that report. We appreciate your work, Representative Rounds. We're probably on item of business number 6, reports of select committees.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to transmit herewith Senate Bills number 14, 15, 16, 21, 22, 43, 44, and 57, which have passed the Senate and your favorable considerations respectfully requested. Respectfully, Kay Johnson, Secretary. Messages.
All right, hand me what you just read. Did you read messages? There being no objection, those messages from the Senate, order of business number 7, will be deemed accepted. All right, we're going to revert back to order of business number 8, motions and resolutions.
Representative Quam moved that House Bill 1012 be referred from the Committee on Local Government to the Committee on State Affairs.
All right, Representative, go ahead and hand me that motion so I can read that. Oh, all in favor of the Quam motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion's approved. Order of business number 9, consideration of committee reports.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Quam moved that the reports of the Standing Committees on Health and Human Services on House Bill 1027, as found on page 58 of the House Journal, be adopted.
Okay, the motion is by Representative Quam to accept the Standing Committee report on Health and Human Services. All in favor of said motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Consideration of reports of joint select committees.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Quam moved that the report of the Joint Select Committee relative to joint rules for the 93rd Legislative Session, as found on page 59 of the House Journal, be adopted.
All right. Representative Quam's motion is to accept the report of the Joint Select Committee relative to the joint rules for the 93rd Legislative Session. Are there any remarks? Okay. Seeing no remarks, this is a recorded vote. All those in favor of adopting the report, the Joint Select Committee will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine and the member shall proceed to vote. And that's what's in that. You know how to say that stuff.
Allers votes aye.
When you're doing this, just
Howgard votes aye. Mr. Speaker, all present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were yeas 58, nays 11, excused 1.
Okay, very good. The Quam motion to accept the report of the Joint Select Committee, having received the majority vote of the members elect, is hereby declared adopted. Item of business number 10, first reading of House bills. was just curious why they were here. Well, you know, if we got to tied her all together, maybe we still will, you know. A lot of the same stuff right here, okay. Very good, thank you, ladies. The speaker assigns to House Ag, House Bill 1089, to Joint Appropriations 1064, 1090, 1098, to Commerce 1086, 1087, 1088, 1093, 1094, to Judiciary 1085, 1095, 1096, 1097, Local Government 1092, and State Affairs 1091. First reading of Senate bills.
Senate Bill number 44, an act to establish a license for certain gaming equipment manufacturers and distributors.
Follow it. I kind of got used to that.
Senate Bill 57, an act to revise certain references regarding the contractors with extra status.
Senate Bill 16, an act to repeal certain paragraph construction specifications for municipal.
The Speaker assigns to State Affairs Senate Bills 43 and 44, to Taxation 57, to Transportation Senate Bills 14, 15, 16, 21, and 22. Consent calendar.
Pursuant to House Rule 7-1, the Speaker removed House Bill 1069 from the consent calendar.
1069 has been removed from the consent calendar. Do we have any questions on the consent calendar?
I have multiple.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. House Bill 1035, an act to repeal certain provisions and regulations related to labeling requirements for feed.
We'll do them all.
House Bill 1037, an act to revise certain provisions regarding the South Dakota State Fair. House Bill 1020, an act to revise certain provisions and regulations regarding medical assistance. House Bill 1048, an act to revise certain provisions referring to the statements on auditing standards utilized by the Department of Revenue. And House Bill 1049, an act to revise certain references to the Internal Revenue Code.
Very good. Now they've had their second reading, and they're up for consideration. Does any member, they cannot be debated, does any member have a question? Seeing no questions on the bills on the consent calendar, the question before the body is adoption of the consent calendar. All those members in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine and the members shall proceed to vote. Did I move it? So you just hang on to that deal. There'll be some stuff in there. It's all over the place. Did we reassign that bill? Did we have a motion on that? We did it? Good, thank you. Thanks for checking, Chris.
Did he vote on it? Did we vote on it?
Motion prevailed.
Motion prevailed.
Did we reassign that? Yeah, yeah.
Motions and resolutions.
I was kind of talking too much, so I wasn't there.
Went from local government to state affairs.
So yes, it was taken down to the vote.
Representative Freimuller. Representative Haugard. Representative Haugard votes aye. Representative Lust.
That's what
Representative
you're looking
Rosen.
for there. There's something that tells you one gavel, 3 gavels to make them stand. Do you have that? Okay.
Representative
That's
Rosen.
the part I remember seeing, can't find it. But it tells you one gavel here.
Mr. Speaker, all members present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are yeas 69, excused 1.
The consent calendar, having received the majority vote of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Second read of House bills.
House Bill 1005, an act to revise certain requirements for a recitation regarding the effect of a vote on certain ballot issues.
House Bill 10-1005, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final debate. Are there any remarks? Oh, I forgot to tell you, we're going to defer this until tomorrow. Representative Qualm makes a motion that we move House Bill 1005 to the bottom of today's calendar. Discussion, seeing none, all in favor of said motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
House Bill 1019, an act to revise certain provisions regarding background checks for physicians and to declare an emergency.
Okay. House Bill 1019 is up for consideration and final debate. Are there any remarks? Representative Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is an agency bill, and it deals with the Board of Medical handling the expedited licensing to allow them to start doing background checks immediately. And the only reason it has the emergency clause is so they can start doing these background checks as soon as possible.
Very good, Representative Clark. Well done. Anyone have any questions for Representative Clark? Are there any further remarks? I thought for sure there was a lot of questions on this bill. Seeing no further remarks, question before the body's adoption of House Bill 1019. All those members in favor shall vote aye. Those opposed, no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members shall proceed to vote. This is a two-thirds vote because it's an emergency. We have an emergency clause.
Haggard votes aye. Denner votes aye.
Representative Glanzer, Stevens, Rosen, and Frymuller, we need you to vote.
Mr. Speaker, all present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are yeas 69, excused 1.
House Bill 1019, having received the two-thirds vote of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Are there questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed approved.
House Bill 1021, an act to revise certain provisions related to the practice of podiatry and where is that? Thank you. An act to revise certain provisions related to the practice of podiatry and to authorize certain fee increases.
Very good. House Bill 1021, having had second reading, is up for consideration and final debate. Are there any remarks? Representative Rounds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 1021 comes to us from the Board of Podiatry Examiners. kind of a little background, the Podiatry Practice Act has not been updated in over 22 years, so the majority of this bill is updates. In Section 3, it updates language for qualifications of licensed applicants, including a clear definition of current educational requirements and required national standardized examinations. In Section 7, it replaces language related to reciprocity with language of licensing podiatrists from other states. In Section 5 and 6, removes language regarding examinations of the board, a little bit of cleanup there. In Section 9, it removes antiquated, help me with that word, antiquated, thank you. I would have used another word. Old. It removes old language relating to the acts constituting unprofessional or dishonorable conduct. And in Section 11, it updates language relating to the continuing education requirements. In addition, Section 13 raises the fee cap for a license of a podiatrist from another state from $250 to $500. What they're doing is, it's not what they're charging, it's the cap. So the board will set what they're charging. It just gives them the ability to go up to $300, $350, or $500 if needed. Then it amends the rules to raise the license fee for the applicant holding a valid license in another state. What they're doing is, if you're coming in from another state, the licensing right now, $250 up to $500 if needed, the cap. And then it raises the statutory fee cap for renewal of someone in South Dakota from $150 to $300. Well, right now it's from $150 to $350. Now they want the same cap, $500. What they're doing is trying to get us equal with those states around us. We got North Dakota at $750, Minnesota $600, Montana $500. This gives them the authority and rule to raise it up to $500, not at $500. They're thinking of maybe going to $350 to see how that does. The reason they're doing this is in 2015, their account had $35,000. Today, they're down to $23,000, and they're shrinking. This board needs to survive on their own, not at the expense of taxpayers. If they continue to lose money, it's us taxpayers that have to pick up the fees, the money, to run the board of podiatrists. So what they're asking is for the authority to raise it. They're going to go up to maybe $100 for each license right now, gives them the cap of $500. But these are the members that are paying it, not the taxpayers. It's those podiatrists to have their annual fees updated. They're the ones that would be paying the fee. So I'm asking you for your support of this bill and to give the Board of Podiatrist examiners the opportunity to operate on their own. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Rounds, for that succinct summary. What was that word on page 9? Have we changed to that kind of language? I'm just kidding. Further remarks? Seeing. Do I have, Representative Goodwin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd urge the body to vote no on this. This is another ridiculous increase where it's going to double. The citizens of South Dakota can't walk into their employer and double their pay. A farmer can't take $3 corn and make it $6. This is crazy to say they have the authority to double it, so I recommend a nay vote.
Thank you, Representative Goodwin. Then that was succinct. Representative Johnson.
Question for the sponsor.
Go ahead and state your question.
Could you clarify for me, please, and maybe everyone else in this building, who is assessing this fee? Is it the government? Is it the podiatrists themselves? Who is it, please?
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the question.
Representative Rounds, do you wish to answer the question?
I will answer that question. It is the members themselves that are assessing the fee. It isn't some absurd tax increase. What it's doing is it's saving the people of South Dakota from having to use their taxes to so what we're doing is we're being very conservative. It's like a user's fee. If you're a podiatrist, you're the ones that pay the fee to pay for the ongoing expenses, not the citizens of the state of South Dakota. It's not a tax increase, it's a fee for the members. They're going broke. Who's going to cover it if they go broke? Who is going to be the people that are responsible for covering the board? Answer that question before you decide to vote no. Who's going to support it? It'll come from the taxpayers. Let's not put the burden on the taxpayers. A user's fee is the way we should go. Thank you.
Representative Johnson, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Gosh, I want to make sure I understand this then. So this is actually a savings of taxpayer dollars. That's what I just heard, I think. Is that correct? All right, then who receives?
If you're asking a question, no, Representative Johnson, the floor is yours. Go ahead and stand up. You're fine. But if you want to ask a question of a member, then you have to kind of run those questions through me, okay?
I just wanted free debate, sir, but I'll honor that. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. I just want to, it gets silly sometimes. This isn't a tax. The citizens aren't going to walk in and pay anything extra. The podiatrists are asking to self-regulate, self-govern themselves. They're going to assess themselves a fee, and they're going to give it right back to their governing board. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Johnson. Representative Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm just going to say this. Yes, it may be the podiatrists that are asking for this fee increase, but the podiatrists, to answer your question, could voluntarily remit the money that they need to keep this board financially sound. So they could voluntarily do this. We do not need to mandate that we increase this fee.
Further remarks, Representative Heineman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you vote no for this particular measure, then you're going to ask the taxpayers to start putting into the Board of Podiatry fund every year out of our general fund. If you vote no. So I don't understand the rationale for voting against this, because we believe those that take part in that process and are benefited from it should pay the fees for it. So this fee structure is going to be increased to allow them a cap so that they can charge their own members to run the board. So I think you need to be very clear. Yes, it's a fee increase, but it allows the board to do that. The board has about 57 podiatrists that they oversee. Their budget is about $8,000 a year, what they bring in, revenue. Their expenses are about $15,000. So we would have to subsidize them if we voted no on this particular measure. So I'd encourage you to vote yes. It's a simple measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks? Representative Freiermuller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm just wondering, there's a lot of boards that we've served on over the past, and we volunteer with no pay. So why would this fall back on the taxpayers?
Is that a rhetorical question, or do you want someone to answer that?
I would like an answer. I mean, why
So
can't
that's
they volunteer?
that's a question for either Representative Heineman or Representative Rounds, right?
Yes, because if
One
this
of
is
you two want to
important to
answer
them.
that? Representative Rounds. The question is, if we don't pass the fee increase, why would the shortfall fall back on the taxpayers?
Well, thank you for the question, and this was what I was somebody had asked about this, just the previous speaker. This is in statute. This is codified in statute that this board will oversee the podiatrists that do business in South Dakota. This is in statute. The statute, you can look it up. It is 36(8). I'll wait while you're looking that up, but it is statute that this is mandatory, that the board oversees the podiatrist examiners in South Dakota. If this was a volunteer program, fine. I have no problem with it, but this isn't statute. There is an act that was passed many years ago, I don't know the number of years, that had the podiatrists licensed to operate in South Dakota, and it's under statute. 22 years, somebody just I thought you were saying peace. So if it's statute, then it has to be done. Volunteer, yeah. If I'm a Boy Scout or leader or something, I'd volunteer to give money to that, or at my church, I'd volunteer to give money to that, but this is in statute, in state codified law. Thank you.
All right. Any further remarks? Representative Pischke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question for the sponsor or for a good representative from Moody County. State my question.
Go ahead, state your question.
Thank you. So, am I under the understanding then, if I were a podiatrist or if I'm any regular citizen, would it be against the law for me to make a donation to the Board of Podiatrists?
Representative Heineman, you're standing. Do you wish to answer that question?
Sure, but I want to do it for the dentist too. Then I wouldn't have to make any
It's your
contribution.
answer. Yeah, it's your answer. Go ahead.
So, yes, you could volunteer to that effect, but in practicality, no one would do that.
Any further remarks? Anything else, Representative Pischke? Anyone else? Anyone wish to speak for a first time before Representative Rounds speaks for a second time? Representative Rounds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen of the House. Fee bill, we're going to see a few more of those this year. This is a good debate to have this early in session. Fees are not an easy subject. To follow up on the previous speaker on his answer, the podiatrists are volunteering. This is their board. They are in favor of this to keep the board. It's under statute, but they have no problem with this. They serve on the board. They're the one who decides the amount of money. They can't spend any money without our authorization. So if they wanted to donate money, it has to be authorized by the legislature because it is in statute. They have had a slow descent in funds over the past 5, 6, 7 years. I would ask for your support of this bill. They want some cleanup language that I talked about. Gives them some cleanup. It needs to be updated. And let's give them that ability to keep their board alive and running. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further remarks, the question before the body is final passage of House Bill 1021. All those members in favor will vote aye. Those opposed, no. This is a 2/3 vote. We've got fees going to something other than the general fund being continuously appropriated. Madam Clerk, please unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote.
Representative Haugard votes aye.
Madam Clerk? Oh, Representative Rounds. Guess what? His little screen's yellow is on my deal. Can you? Has he voted now? Okay, yeah.
Brown votes aye. Mr. Speaker, all present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were yeas 56, nays 13, excused 1.
House Bill 1021, having received the 2/3 vote of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed approved.
House Bill 1026, an act to revise certain educational requirements pertaining to the practice of cosmetology.
House Bill 1026, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final debate. Are there any remarks? 1026, Representative York.
Mr. Speaker, members of the body, I bring you this bill 1026 on behalf of the Cosmetologists Association of the state of South Dakota. It's like a three-part bill that's just kind of putting together some practical things for the Board of Cosmetology. The first one is, for many years, South Dakota has had a requirement of education of 2,100 hours for a person to become a licensed cosmetologist in the state of South Dakota. The board at this time would like to lower that amount of hours to 1,500. It's more in line with what the states around us are charging, and what we've found is we have hairdressers or cosmetologists of one kind or another that move in from another state, and they have to immediately go back to school because they haven't completed the 2,100 hours of instruction. So that they're asking for that to be changed. The other thing has to do with the instructors in a school of cosmetology, and we have 4 schools in the state of South Dakota. The instructors have been labeled as senior instructors and junior instructors. They would like to just have one category of just instructors. You would still have to accomplish a certain amount of education to apply for that license, but once you've applied for the license, then you get a temporary license to go to work right away, and your work starts counting right away. They need a certain amount of instructors per student. And so far, if you were just a junior instructor, you did not count as an instructor per student. Now you would, after you took the test, you would have 90 days to get your license, and then you're a full-time instructor. The other part of the bill also has to do with instructors, and that's at the schools. We have several instructors at every school, but once in a while people get sick or take a vacation day, and they have a hard time finding substitutes. Because right now, according to state law, they have to have passed an instructor's license to qualify to instruct in a beauty school. Right now, they would like to have permission to call on any licensed cosmetologist that happens to be in their area. They would have to be a cosmetologist with a current license and in good standing with the board, and they can come in and substitute for a short period of time. These changes all make good sense, make good common sense, and I would urge you to have a green vote on this.
Thank you, Representative York. Further remarks? Yeah, Representative Pischke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question for the sponsor.
Go ahead and state your question.
It's on page 3, I believe, of this bill. It says the commission may promulgate rules pursuant to chapter 1.26 to establish education and experience requirements for a person to serve as a substitute teacher. Do we have any idea of what those requirements are going to be that would say that you can be a substitute teacher in a cosmetology school?
Representative York, do you wish to answer that question?
I do. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What happens is they have to, of course, be a licensed cosmetologist in good standing with the board, and then it's an instructor's test. And to take that instructor's test, you have to gone through some training to not only be able to do the work, but to also be able to teach someone to do the work. And it's not always just the practical work like cutting hair and putting in a color, but also the theory part of cosmetology, which is knowing some of the bone structure, knowing how to apply products, knowing what products are and what they do to the person's hair or skin. Does that answer your question?
Wow. Go ahead, Representative Pischke.
Yes, thank you. I think that does answer my question. Now, how do we know, additional question, Mr. Speaker.
Go ahead.
How do we know that these rules, or what you state is what's going to classify someone as a substitute teacher, if we promulgate this authority to this department, how do we know that those rules are going to stay in place 10 years down the road?
Representative York, do you wish to answer that question?
I do. I don't know how we know how any rules are going to stay in place 10 years down the road. But you're trusting a board of cosmetology that's been appointed by the governor, and they're the ones that are governing all these things and all the tests that goes into these different positions in the field of cosmetology. I guess it's a leap of faith, just like anything else that we do here at the legislature.
All right, Representative Pischke, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's kind of my point I'm trying to make. I think anytime that we are delegating our legislative authority to another board, it causes me pause anytime we do that. So I just urge the rest of the body to think about that. Think about you're delegating your authority to a board, and maybe think about hitting the red button once in a while. Thank you.
Very good. Further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the body is final passage of House Bill 1026. All those members in favor will vote aye. Those opposed, no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the member shall proceed to vote.
Representative Haugard votes aye.
Representative Lattarell?
Mr. Speaker, all present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were yeas 58, nays 11, and 1 excused.
House Bill 1026, having received the majority vote of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed approved. One more.
House Bill 1068, an act to revise certain provisions regarding the collection of motor fuel tax from interstate fuel users.
House Bill 1068, having had a second reading, is up for consideration and final debate. Are there any remarks? Representative Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members of the body. This bill is a bill from the Department of Transportation. And first, it has two parts. First part is a driver going through the town who does not have a printed copy can use an electronic version of their IFTA license, like what could be found on a cell phone or a tablet computer. And that would be acceptable as an IFTA license for tax purposes. The second part, currently the statute imposes an average mile per gallon of 4 miles to the gallon for any user who's found to have inadequate IFTA or tax-like fuel tax records. And they're looking to add an alternative penalty of a 20% reduction of the reported average miles per gallon. This would be a gentler penalty versus the 4 miles per gallon that would be imposed. This is essentially a cleanup bill. I urge everyone to vote green.
Thank you, Representative Clark. Further remarks? Seeing none, the question before the body is final passage of House Bill 1068. All those members in favor will vote aye. All those opposed, no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine. The member shall proceed to vote.
Representative Haugard votes aye. Mr. Speaker, all members present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were 67 yeas, 2 nays, and 1 excused.
House Bill 1068, having received the majority vote of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed approved. Perfect. Is the doctor of the day here in the gallery? Well, we're just going to give him a brief intro. We appreciate, we have Dr. Neil Burns from Pierre. He is with the Avera Medical Group here in Pierre, and he also works in emergency medicine. He is a graduate medical degree from the University of South Dakota with a residency at Siouxland Medical Education Foundation in Sioux City. He's a member of the South Dakota State Medical Association. So if you see Dr. Burns, tell him thank you for being here. Representative Qualm moves that we move the balance of today's calendar to tomorrow's calendar, which is Thursday, January 18th, the 7th legislative day. All in favor, aye? Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Well, order business number 15, announcements. All right. Representative Peterson.
Personal privilege.
Granted.
I'd like to, we've got a member that made it back this morning. We've missed for a few days, the first week of session and the first day of this week, and battling some health issues, and just want to make everyone aware that he's back, and we're glad to have him here, and if we could just give him a very warm welcome back.
Representative McPherson. Great to see you with us today, Representative McPherson. Representative Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Transportation meets tomorrow at 10 a.m., and we have a couple of bills on the calendar to deal with.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Haugaard.
Tax Committee will not meet tomorrow. We'll be meeting on Tuesday.
Representative Steinhauer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Health and Human Services tomorrow morning, 7:45. We've got 2 bills to take up.
Representative Otten.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Ag and Natural Resources will be meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. We will be hearing 3 bills.
Representative Goodwin.
FFA breakfast tomorrow morning, 6:30 at Drifters.
FFA breakfast, very good. What else? Representative Tolson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Local Government Committee will meet at 10 a.m. in the morning. So, see you there.
Representative Allers. Nice haircut.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I got all of them cut. Appropriations, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll be reviewing the budgets for transportation, public safety, revenue, and labor and regulation.
Very good. Representative Latteral.
Personal privilege.
Yeah, what do you got on your desk there, Representative Latteral?
This is a flower set, Mr. Speaker.
It's pretty nice. Is there a card with that flower set?
There is.
Awesome. Okay, personal privilege granted.
I just wanted to call to your attention that in the gallery today we have a senator from North Dakota. Senator
Here.
Jim
Where is
Casper.
he? What's his name?
Senator Jim Casper.
Where is he? Wave, Jim. Representative Senator Jim Casper. Let's give him a warm welcome. Nice to have you with us.
He is the chairman of the House Government and Veteran Affairs Committee.
What committees is he on? All right, well,
sorry, he is chairman of the House Government and Veterans Affairs Committee, and he's also a member of House Industry, Business, Labor, and Committee. They have a lot more powerful committees there in the North Dakota legislature because they only meet once a year, so they have a lot of work to do in the off-season with their committees. Every other year. I apologize.
Yeah, okay, that's South Dakota humble. Yeah, all right. Who else? What do we, yeah, Representative Johnson?
I just wanted to announce that mark your calendars for January 23rd. That's next Tuesday at 3:30, room 414 in the Capitol building. We're holding a seminar to discuss the strategy for healthy Black Hills forest. It's open to lobbyists, legislators, and anyone else who's interested in the strategy for advancing a healthy Black Hills forest for the next decade or two. I'd like everybody to show up if they could, if they want to learn something. Thank you.
Thanks for giving us that heads up. I know we got a training today. What room's that in? 414. I guess that'll probably be immediately following session. All right, what else going on tonight? Okay, very good. Seeing no further announcements. Mr. Speaker. Representative Beal. I move we adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. We're adjourned.